Mathematics is the science of structure, order, and relation that has evolved from elemental practices of counting, measuring, and describing the shape of objects. It deals with logical reasoning and quantitative calculation, and its development has involved an increasing degree of idealization and abstraction of its subject matter. I am Sir Phil na nagsasabing, palaging piliin mong matuto. Hello, good day everyone. Again, I am Sir Phil and this is Sir Phil's channel. In this video, we're going to discuss in Taglish version the concept of direct and inverse variation. So these are the first two types of variation that we're going to discuss in this particular module. So because we're going to have the direct, inverse, the joint, and the combined variation. So for now, let's discuss in Taglish version the direct and inverse variation. We all know that variation is the relationship between two quantities or ratio. Ito yung medyo alam natin as the ratio from before, especially the direct variation. Sa proportion, ito yung pinag-uusapan natin ng elementary grades natin. This is also what we call the proportion from elementary grade, the direct and the inverse. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to illustrate direct and inverse variation and to translate into variation equation by the given table, equation, and graph. We are also will be able to find the unknown variables in their particular module and solve real-life-based problems involving direct and inverse variations. Okay, let's start with the concept of direct variation. So direct variation is the normal proportion that we discuss or you discuss from elementary grades. Makikilala natin siya with the statement y varies directly as x, or we can say also as y is directly proportional to x. And it can be represented as an equation given by y equal to kx for some non-zero constant k. So yung k natin dito will serve as our constant of variation or the constant of proportionality. So ginagamit natin yung variable k para doon sa ating constant of variation. So yung mga statement na yan, basta nakabasa natin yung varies directly or directly proportional. So yung unang variable na mababanggit before that statement will be isolated. Ito yon, equal to the constant k. And then yung pangalawang variable na mababanggit doon sa statement. So that is y varies directly as x. That can be represented as an equation y is equal to kx. Okay? So let us continue. So if y varies directly as x, then y is equal to kx. So this looks similar to function form. Y is equal to mx plus b without the b. Kung matatandaan natin sa linear equation natin, yung y is equal to mx plus b, which is the slope intercept form, it is similar with the direct variation statement. Mathematical statement, y is equal to kx. Yun nga lang wala tayong b, which is here on the given equation. Okay, so if x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 10, so by substitution, that is 10 equal to k times 2. Okay? So by that particular manner, what is the value of k? So kung given yung dalawang variable, yung x and y natin, so to get the value of k, ayan, we divide both sides kasi nga meron ang natirang variable na lang natin is the constant. So to get that, we divide both sides by 2 kung ano yung kasama ng k para ma-cancel natin siya. So ang matitira na lamang ay k is equal to 10 over 2. So by simplification, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So our constant of variation is equal to 5. So kapag may constant na tayo, we can already write the equation as y equal to 5x. So yung k natin, pinalitan na natin ng 5. So this is now the equation na tinatawag natin, equation of variation. So pinalitan na natin yung variable k ng 5. Okay? So we have y is equal to kx, which can be arranged to get k by itself. So we have y is equal to kx. So to get the constant of variation, yung ginawa natin kanina, we divide both sides by x. So matatanggal na yung x dyan. So therefore, that is k equal to y over x. So meaning the formula for the constant of variation is given by k equal to y over x. Or yan, para mas malinaw, k is equal to y over x. So this is what we call a ratio. Okay? So ang constant natin sa direct variation is a ratio or a quotient. Okay? So mamaya kasi i-compare natin siya sa inverse variation. Okay, so direct variation in function tables. So we are given here a table. We have the values of x and the values of y. So that is 2, 4, 6, and 10, 20, 30. So given by the equation that y varies directly as x, that is y equal to kx. Or for the constant of variation, we have y equal to y over x. Since we multiply x by 5 in each set, the constant k is 5. So, yun yung constant natin. So, our constant now, formula is k is equal to y over x. Or you can think it as y divided by x is k. So, we can consider this as direct variation if they have common ratio. So, when we say common ratio, gagamitin lang natin itong formula for the constant that when we divide yung y to x, dapat same yung makukuha nating ratio. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. 20 divided by 4 is equal to 5. 30 divided by 6 is equal to 5. So therefore, we can consider this table as a direct variation. Kasi yung meron tayong tinatawag na common ratio. Okay? So kapag may common ratio, therefore, we can consider it as direct variation. At the same time kasi, both are increasing. Okay? So from 2, 4, and to 6, and then from 10 to 30, they are both increasing. Kapag direct variation kasi, sabi nga direct, these are the situations that are both increasing, both variables are increasing, or both variable are decreasing. Pero hindi lang both decreasing and both increasing. Dapat meron ding common ratio, yung value ng x and y. Okay? So let's have this one. We are given the function tables. We have 2, 4, 6, and 1, 2, 3. So again, they are both increasing. So what we need to check here, if they are direct variation. So sabi dito, it is a direct variation. So paano natin siya i-check na talagang direct variation siya? So dapat may common ratio. So 1 divided by 2 is 1 half. 2 divided by 4 is 2 over 4 or 1 half. And then 3 divided by 6 is 3 over 6 or also 1 half. So they are all equal. So therefore, this is a direct variation. So kasi hindi lang porket both increasing sila at both decreasing sila, automatic direct variation na. So it is still very important na meron silang common ratio for us to consider that this function table is representing a direct variation. Okay, so ang k natin dito is 1 half, which is similar to divided by 2. So ang ating constant of variation is 1/2 in this function table. Okay, let's have this 1. We are given negative, yung x and y natin, 2, 4, 7, and then 6.2, 12.4, and 21.5. So I want you to get its ratios. So dapat equal lahat. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. 5 minutes, 5 seconds to do that. If you could divide 6.2 to 2, 12.4 to 4, and 21.5 to 7. So if your answer is no, so this is not a direct variation because the constant of the last set is different from the 2. So pag chinek nyo yan, let's say for example, 6.2 divided by 2. Negative yan So kung chinek nyo siya, the 6.2 divided by 2, please take note pa rin of sign. Applicable pa rin siya sa ating variation, no? Kasi normal naman na integers yan. So if we divide 6.2 to 2, we will get 3.1, no? So that is negative 3.1. Tapos when we divide naman 12.4 to 4, we will get also negative 3.1. So dito sa dalawa, common naman siya. So wag tayong agad-agad na conclude that this is already a direct variation. So kailangan nating i-check lahat kasi nga sabi nga natin common ratio. So kung merong isang maiiba, hindi na siya common. So what is 21.5 divided by 7? So ang makukuha natin dyan is negative 3.07. Ayan. So, naiba yung last set. So, therefore, we cannot consider this as a direct variation. Okay? So, dapat meron tayong common ratio. Okay. So, in terms naman of the graph of direct variation, makikita natin dito, kasi for example, yung y is equal to 2x, kx natin, tapos we are given this particular equation na ang constant natin is equal to 2. Okay, so pag sinubstitute naman natin yan, following the value of x, let's say pag ang x natin ay 1, okay, pag ang x natin ay 1, ang y natin ay, multiply nyo lang, 2 times 1 is 2. Kapag ang x natin ay 2, 2 times 2 lang yan, 4. And so on. So, they are both increasing. Tapos, please take note na ang graph ng direct variation is always a straight line. Kaya nga siya, kaya siya similar sa linear function or linear equation. Kasi ang graph ng direct variation is a straight line. So, increasing or decreasing din siya. Depende dun sa mga values na maibibigay at mapoproduce dun sa table of values using the equation. So please take note that the graph of a direct variation is a straight line. Okay? So let's go over now with the inverse variation. So inverse variation naman, ito naman yung mga statement na hanapin natin for us to consider that the statement is an inverse variation. So y varies inversely as x, or y is inversely proportional to x. And that is given by the equation y is equal to k over x. So yung unang binanggit na variable will be the one which is isolated, equal to the constant of variation k over yung pangalawang variable na binanggit, which is x. Okay? For some non-zero constant k, so yung k pa rin natin is the constant of variation. Tapos, the formula for our constant of variation is xy. Kasi ayan, i-multiply itong dalawa. Okay? That's why k is equal to xy here, in which ang tawag natin dyan ay common product. Okay? So, dito pa lang napapansin na natin yung pagkakaiba between direct and inverse variation. So kanina sa direct variation, meron tayong common ratio. So dito sa inverse variation, meron tayong common product. So let us investigate more about the concept of inverse variation. So since direct variation is y is equal to kx, k times x, then inverse variation is opposite. That is y equal to k over x. So k divided by x. So sa inverse variation, k times x. Sa direct variation, k times x, while sa inverse variation, k divided by x. Tapos in terms naman of constant, sa direct variation, we have the common ratio, while sa inverse variation, we have the common product. No, balikan natin. Because the constant of variation of a direct variation is y over x, which is a common ratio nga. Tapos, ang constant naman natin sa inverse is k equal to xy, which is a common product naman. Okay? So, yun naman yung hahanapin natin later sa ating function table for inverse variation. So, let's go over now with the function tables. So, in this manner, we are given the table here, 2, 4, and 8, 5, 2.5, and 1.25. So, what can you say about it? So, kung makikita nyo yung x natin ay increasing, while yung y natin ay decreasing. So, ito yung another na pagkakaiba ng inverse sa direct. Ang direct variation kasi, it is either both increasing or both decreasing. Sa inverse variation, simultaneously, magkasaliwa yung direction. So, kung ang isang variable, let's say for example, kung ang x ay increasing, yung y natin must be decreasing. Kung ang x natin ay decreasing, yung y natin must be increasing. So, yun naman yung pagkakaiba niya. Mamaya makikita pa natin yung pagkakaiba niya in terms naman of real life-based situation, yung mga modeling natin ng real life-based situation. So, yon. So, pag inverse, increasing and decreasing siya. So, pag nag-increase yung isa, nag-decrease yung isa sa variable natin. So, ang tanong natin, is this an inversely proportional function tables? So, dahil nga meron tayong tinatawag na sa ating constant of variation, which is the common product, yun yung i-check natin. So, dapat lahat ng xy natin na constant must be in common product. So, kanina common ratio for the direct. So, for inverse naman, we have the common product. So, all we have to do is to multiply all values of x and y. So, 2 times 5 is 10. 4 times 2.5 is 10. And then 8 times 1.25 is 10. So they are all common. So these are the common products. So we can say now that this function table is an inverse variation with the constant 10. Okay? So let us have the next one. Again, just like in direct variation, hindi porket both increasing, both increasing ay direct na. So ganun din po sa inverse. Hindi porket yung isa ay nag-increase, yung isa ay nag-decrease na, dahil sabi ko nga kanina, saliwa yung direction nila, sasabihin na natin agad inverse yun. Hindi pwede. So, dapat magkaroon pa rin tayo ng, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi na common product. Pag walang common product, kahit pa increasing and decreasing yung mga variable natin, hindi natin pwede pa rin i-consider yan as inverse variation. So, it is important pa rin to have the common product. So, i-multiply natin. Although, what we can say here, ang x natin ay increasing. And ang y natin dito ay decreasing. So, una yon, okay na siya. Pero, itry natin kung may common product ba siya. So, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 4 times 1 half. 1 half ng negative 4 is negative 2. Tapos, 6 times negative 1/3. So, that is 6 over 3, negative 2. So, they have common product. So, therefore, this is an inverse variation with a constant of variation which is negative 2. Okay, so that is considered as inverse. Next. How about this one? Negative 2, negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 2. Okay, so this is increasing pa din yung x. So yung y natin, increasing ba? Increasing. Tama, increasing yung x. Yung y natin is also 4.2, 2.10, 4.2. Increasing din. So dun pa lang, no? Dun pa lang, kita na natin that this is not an inverse variation. So, hindi rin natin pwede, siguro i-consider as direct to. Okay, next. So, will be a curve that never crosses the x or y axis. So, yung inverse variation will be a curve that never crosses the x or y axis. So, let's say for example, meron tayo ditong x equal to xy. So, ang constant natin ay 16. Let's say for example, so yung magiging itsura niyan ay ganito. Okay? So, kapag inverse naman, never siya magta-touch sa x and y axis. So, ganyan yung magiging itsura ng graph ng inverse. At ang tawag natin dyan ay hyperbola. So, wag tayong malilito dun sa graph ng quadratic function, which is the parabola. So, kapag inverse naman, hyperbola. So, another difference between the direct and inverse variation. So, ang direct variation, ang graph niya, pwedeng tumama sa x and y axis, no? Sa direct variation. And then, direct variation is a straight line. Sa inverse variation naman, it will never cross. Hindi siya tatama doon sa x and y axis. And at the same time, it is a curved line which is called a hyperbola. Okay? So, yun yung sa inverse variation natin. Okay, proceed tayo. So, you can use algebra to write variation function in terms of k. So, i-compare na natin yung dalawa. So, sa direct variation, we have the constant ratio or the common ratio. Constant kasi hindi naman nagbabago. So, pwede rin natin gamitin yung term na common ratio. In terms naman of inverse variation, we have the common product or the constant product. Okay, so notice that in direct variation, the ratio of the two quantities is constant, hindi nagbabago. And in inverse variation, the product of the two quantities is constant. Okay, ano pa? So, in equation, y is equal to kx for direct. For inverse naman, y is equal to k over x. Tapos, when we are going to solve for the constant, that is k is equal to y over x for direct variation. And then for inverse, we have xy. As x increases, y increases sa direct variation. As x increases, y decreases in inverse. Tapos, sa kabaliktaran naman, as x decreases, y decreases in direct variation. And in inverse variation, as x decreases, y increases. So, yun yung mga comparison natin sa direct and inverse variation. So, let's have an activity here. Determine whether y varies directly or inversely with x. If so, find the constant. Okay, so for letter A, we have y is equal to 10 over x. Okay, so if your answer is inverse, you are correct. And our constant of variation is 10. For letter B, we have y is equal to 4 over 7x minus 2. Neither. So, if your answer is not direct or not inverse or also, we cannot consider it as direct or inverse. And we don't have a common, we don't have a constant here. So, it can't be direct or inverse. How about letter C? We have y is equal to 2x. Okay, so if your answer is direct, you are correct, with the constant of variation equal to 2. Okay, determine whether y varies directly or inversely with x. So, if so, write the equation. So, on the first table, x is increasing and y is decreasing. So we can say that y varies directly as x. So we can have the equation y is equal to k over x. So investigate natin if they have constant product. Okay, so 2 times 15 is 30. 4 times 7.5 is 30 also. 10 times 3 is 30. 15 times 2 is also 30. So therefore, this is an inverse variation since they have a common product. Let's solve the next one. The x here is increasing. Y is also increasing. So y is equal to kx. So most probably, direct to. So, can we consider this as direct variation? So, anong gagawin natin? I-check natin ang ating constant kung pare-parehas sila ng ratio. So, tingnan natin. 8 divided by 0.2 is 40. 20 divided by 0.5 is 40. 40 divided by 1 is 40 also. And 60 divided by 1.5 is 40. So, this is a direct variation since we have a common product which is 40. So, y is equal to 40x for our equation. Let's have the third table. So, as you can see here, the variable x are increasing while y is decreasing. Can we consider this as inverse? So, let's check if they have, kung inverse siya, kasi nga increasing, decreasing, let's check if they have a common product. 2 times 10 is 20, 4 times 8 is 32, 10 times 3 is 30, 15 times 1.5 is 22.5. So they are not equal. So we cannot consider this as inverse. Hindi rin natin siya pwedeng i-consider as direct. So neither of the two. Okay, so let's go over now with the application. Let's start with the direct variations. I have here some real-life based situation involving direct variations. So let's have the first one. The cost C of fish varies directly as its weight, double in kilograms. So nagbigay lang tayo ng particular na mga variable in each of the given variables. Okay? So varies directly, ayan, nakita na natin. So automatic this is direct variation because of the statement varies directly. So para dun sa situation, habang tumitimbang or tumataas yung timbang, habang bumibigat yung binibili nating fish, mas mahal yung babayaran natin. Okay? Dun sa cost of fish. So automatic, they are both increasing. Yung weight niya and then the cost are both increasing. So we can consider this as direct variation. So to do that, the equation will be C equal to KW. So, wag lang natin kalimutan yung constant. Diretso lang yan. Tapos, para makuha yung constant, that is K equal to C over W. Okay, ganun lang yon. Yung naka-isolate over dun sa kasama ng K. Let's have another. An employee's salary S varies as the number of days D. So, gumamit dito ng S and D. He has worked. Okay, so ni-represent natin yung big letter S for the salary. So habang tumatagal yung pagtatrabaho, mas malaki yung sinasahod. Okay, so they are both increasing. So that is S equal to KD. So for the constant, we have yung naka-isolate S over yung kasama ng KD. Next, we have the area of a square varies directly as the square of its side. So, we can have it as, pwede naman tayo mag-decide kung walang binigay na variable. So, dahil area naman yan, let's use A equals K ang constant, tapos side. So, may binigay na S. Pero sabi dito, square of its side. So, lagyan lang natin ng square. So, ang constant natin, yung naka-isolate, A over S squared. Next, the distance D traveled by a car varies directly as its speed. So, meron tayong D, varies directly siya. So, S. And then we have D, yung unang binanggit, equal to KS. Ayan. Tapos, constant is equal to D over S. Next, we have the cost of electricity, C, varies directly as the number of kilowatt-hour consumption, L. So, yung kilowatt per hour consumption natin, habang tumataas, yung cost ng electricity natin ay tumataas din. So, they are both increasing. So, this is direct. Gamit tayo ng C tsaka ng L. So, that is C equal to KL. So, for our constant, that is, yung naka-isolate natin, C over L. And finally, the weight W of an object is directly proportional to its mass. So, yung weight natin, lagyan natin ng E dito. And then W, directly proportional. So, this is a direct variation and then for the mass. And then, so that's it. W equal to Km. So, for constant, K is equal to, yung naka-isolate, W over M. Okay? So, those are the direct variation statements and real life base situations. Okay, let's try naman for the inverse. Ayan, nakikita natin, the number of pizza slices P, represented as P, varies inversely. Ayan, kita natin yung statement as the number of person and sharing a whole pizza. So, ibig sabihin, mas konti yung nag-share, mas konti yung slices na pwedeng gawin natin sa pizza. Or mas malaki yung slices, no? Mas konti yung naghahati-hati, mas malaki yung slices. Pag marami namang naghahati-hati, mas maliit yung slices. So, increasing and decreasing. So, represented by the variable n, yung number of person. So, this is P equal to K over N. So, P yung unang binanggit na variable, varies inversely. Yung constant natin over yung pangalawa, the number of person, N. Tapos, ang constant nga natin ay product. So, Pn. K is equal to Pn. So, the next one. The number of petri plants N in a row varies inversely. So, meron tayong statement dito. As the space S, the phrase varies inversely will tell us that it is an inverse variation. So, the number of petri is N, and then the number of space is S. So, that is N equal to K over S. So, our constant is NS or SN. Next, the number of person N needed to do a job varies inversely as the number of days D to finish a job. So, mas maraming taong gumagawa, mas maiksing panahon ang kailangan. So, pas konting tao ang gumagawa, mas mahabang panahon ang kailangan naman. Okay, so this is inverse. So, N ang gagamitin, tsaka D. So, that is N is equal to K over D. So, our constant is K equal to ND. Next, the cost C per person of renting a private resort varies inversely as the number of N of persons sharing the rent. Okay, so mas maraming nagsishare, yung cost per person na mas maliit. Mas konti yung nagsishare, mas malaki yung babayaran per person. So, that is an inverse variation. So, gamit tayo ng C tsaka ng N. So, C is equal to K over N. So, our constant is equal to Cn, the product. And we have the acceleration A of a car is inversely as its altitude. So, acceleration is A, altitude is H. So, that is A equal to K over H. So, for the constant, K is equal to AH. Ayun. And finally, we have the mass of an object varies inversely as the acceleration due to gravity G. So, pag walang binigay, dito, halimbawa dito sa mass, so, gamitin na natin yung first letters. So, gravity, merong G. So, gamit tayo ng G. Okay, so by that, we have M equal to K over G. Tapos, ang constant natin, K is equal to mg, product. Okay. So, na mag-solve naman tayo nito. Matatapos na tayo. Solve tayo ng, ng mga real-life based problem. So sabi dito, a teacher charges 500 pesos per hour of tutorial service to a grade 9 student. So if she spends 3 hours tutoring per day, how much would she receive in 20 days? So the first thing that we need to consider here is that the number of salary here depends on the number of days na nag-tutor si teacher. So kung mas mahaba yung days na nag-tutor si teacher, mas malaki yung makukuha niyang salary dito, no? So, tingnan muna natin magkano ba nakukuha niya per day. Kasi kung per hour ay 500 pesos, tapos sa bawat araw, nagtuturo siya ng 3 hours. So, meaning, multiply lang natin yung 500 by 3. Kasi nga 3 hours. So, that is 1,500. So, per day. So, tinatanong ngayon, so this is probably a direct variation, no? Kasi habang dumadami yung araw ng pagtuturo, mas malaki yung makukuha niyang pay dun sa tutoring service niya. Okay? So, per day is 1,500 kasi 3 hours siya per day. So, ang tinatanong, magkano yung makukuha niya kung mag-tutor siya ng 20 days. So, yung 1,500 ngayon, i-multiply natin into 20. So, this is the number of days. So, probably, ang K natin dito is 1,500 pesos. Yan yung constant. Okay, so the salary is equal to KD, or the number of days. Ito yung sa salary, ito yung sa number of days. So, may constant tayong K kasi per day nga yun. So, S is equal to 1,500D. Okay, para makuha yung salary. So, parang parehas lang yan dito. So, that is S equal to 1,500. That is the salary per day times 20, the number of days. So, by solving, we have 30,000 pesos. So, in 20 days of tutoring, the teacher would receive 30,000 pesos in 20 days. Ayan. Okay, ito yung isa example ng direct variation for real life-based situation. Let's have another. The cost of fish varies directly as its weight. So, gamit na lang tayo ng C for the cost of fish equal to KW. And then, per kilogram of fish kasi is 180 pesos. So, probably ang constant natin dyan is yung 180 pesos. No? 1 kilogram is 180 pesos eh. So, ang cost niya is 100 equal to K, tapos 1 kilogram. Okay? So, para makuha yung K, that is 180 divided by 1. That's why nakuha natin yung K, which is 180 pesos. So, ang tanong, how much will 12 kilograms of fish cost? So, okay, C, the cost of fish equal to the constant 180 times yung weight, which is 12. Pag minultiply natin yan, 180 times 12, we have 2,160 pesos. So, the 12 kilograms of fish cost 2,160 pesos. Yan. So, this is another direct variation. So, next, the next one. The number of person needed to do a job varies inversely as the number of days to finish the job. So, yung number of person, represent na lang natin as N equal to, probably this is an inverse variation. No? Unang-una, gumamit nito na statement na varies inversely. But at the same time, ito yung sinabi natin kanina dun sa mga modeling real life. Mas madami yung gagawa, mas maiksi yung oras ng paggawa. Mas konti yung gumagawa, mas mahaba yung oras na kailangan. So, increasing, decreasing. So, this is an inverse variation. So, the number of person will be represented as N equal to K over the number of days, D. So, ang constant natin dyan ay K equal to ND. So, sabi dito, 4 person can finish the job in 12 days. So, number of person is 4, number of days is 12. So, 4 times 12 is 48. So, our new equation will be N equal to 48 over D. So, ito na yung constant natin. How many days can 6 person to finish the job? So, nawawala yung number of days. So, 48 yung K natin. Tapos, yung magtatrabaho ay 6 person. 48 divided by 6. So, 48 divided by 6 is 8. So, there are 8 days. So, therefore, 6 person can finish the job for 8 days. O, diba? Nung 4 person lang yung nagtatrabaho, aabot sila ng 12 days. Pero dahil dumami na yung gagawa, 6 na yung gagawa, matatapos na nila yung work in just 8 days. So, this is an inverse variation. So, the last one, at 60 kilometers per hour, it takes Loida 10 hours to travel from her house to their house in the province. How long will it take her if she travels at 80 kilometers an hour? So, yung time na lang, siguro, time traveled will be represented as T. So, time traveled yan. Equal, so most probably, ano to, no? Inverse variation kasi, mas, ang tawag dito, mas konting kilometer per hour, or mas mabilis kasi to. Ito yung pinag-uusapan natin dito yung speed eh. Mas mabilis na pagtakbo nung car, mas maiksing oras ng travel. So kung mas mabagal naman, hahaba yung oras ng traveling. Okay? So this is an inverse variation. So yung time is varies inversely sa K, constant natin, over the distance. Okay? So, para makuha yung constant, yung unang given kasi natin is 60 and 10. So, kung 60 kilometers per hour ang takbo, yung traveling hour niya to reach the house in their province is 10 hours. So, TD. So, that is K equal to 60 times 10. So, our value of K is 600. So, ito yung constant natin. So, para makuha natin yung time travel niya, traveling hours niya, in 80 kilometers an hour. So, mas mabilis. So, dapat mas iiksi yung oras ng travel. So, 600 over 80. So, when we divide that, 600 divided by 80, we will get 7 and 1/2 hours. So, most probably that is 7 hours and 30 minutes. So, we can say that Loida can travel to her province for 7 hours or 7.5 hours. Or that is equivalent to 7 hours and 30 minutes. If she travels at 80 kilometers per hour. Ayan. Kasi mas mabilis yung takbo niya. So, mas konti yung traveling hours niya. So, kanina kasi 60 kilometers. Kaya 10 hours. Okay. So, this is an inverse variation. Ayun. So, nakita natin yung pagkakaiba ng direct and inverse variation mula kanina. At the same time, yung na-apply natin with the real life based situation. Ayan. Thank you for listening. The next lesson will be joint and the combined variation. Abangan natin yan. So, this is the direct and inverse variation. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Sir Phil and this is Sir Phil's channel. Thank you.